the public hearing, and I'll ask for your kindness to council, because I can tell you that we don't want to be here all night, and so keep your comments brief as you possibly can. We don't normally invoke a time limit. I do not plan to invoke a time limit, but I can tell you if it gets going on, then I will cut you off, and I apologize in advance for that.
My name's Joe Legan. I just have one question about the sequencing of how we're doing the public hearings here. To me, whether you add additional land or not, that has to do with potential traffic, revenue versus expenses, and my understanding is we're not supposed to talk about any of that. We're just talking about changing the zoning of land.
You're basically addressing the first part, which is adding land potential to be in this development to the existing land that's already within this development. And then, more importantly, you may talk about anything you wanted that.
Right.
Okay. However, I would recommend for the avenue of time, if you want to talk about traffic, that you talk about that when we talk about homes and not land.
Okay.
That's just my recommendation.
Okay. Well, and I will follow your rules. I have no heartburn with that. But it seems odd to talk about expanding the land without talking about the potential impacts of expanding the land. And you guys are okay with that?
It is 1.5 units per acre is the impact. If you would like to address that, yes.
Addition.
Randy, may I make a comment? Excuse me, Gene, may I make a comment?
Sure.
Relative to your comment, okay, that was, what you're saying had to do with my question of Kevin when he made the presentation.
Correct.
The land use that we're voting on now, or talking about right now, that the traffic information for that is included in the next presentation for the legacy project. So that traffic is not being ignored. It's being included in the next topic.
Right, but once this is potentially approved, then you couldn't potentially modify those numbers.
No, those numbers will go with the overall.
Correct.
The entire project.
They go
Whereas
with the entire
if you
project.
wanted to go against this, you could potentially decrease those numbers. But
Sir,
we're
if
not
you would
allowed
like,
to
if
talk.
you would like to make a comment about traffic, go right ahead.
Well, I guess my concern to the council is that by extending it before we vote on the other project, that's really more I'm concerned about, is the sequencing of events. The events are concerning, but the sequence is more concerning. And that this will have further impact on traffic, on potential revenues, as well as expenses. And my understanding is, for instance, the traffic numbers we were presented were directly from the developer, and we didn't do any other independent validation of what we thought. So that's really what I wanted to say.
Can you address where the traffic numbers come from?
The traffic study, you're correct, sir. This traffic study is performed by the developer. We also contracted with a private firm to do our own review of that transportation report, and the Virginia Department of Transportation did one as well.
Okay, and those were very similar then? Or were they different?
Again, the base projection numbers, the traffic counts, come from the developer, and then they're analyzed by the third-party engineer, which we use, and by VDOT. So we didn't go out and do our own independent traffic counts, but in both instances,
somebody double-checked, kind of.
Yes, sir.
Three-party check.
Right, that's, I guess, where I
Yes,
was
sir.
going. And they were similar then?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Sir,
thank you.
sir, may I have your address?
4 Inslee Circle?
And Mr. Regan, was that?
Legan.
Evening. My name is Janice Powell. I live at 306 Powhatan Drive. Just want to let you all know it's very hard to hear what you're saying. Those of us in the audience are having a very difficult time hearing through the sound system here if you don't speak up. So just want to give you a little heads up on that. My only question at this point is in regards to the rezoning of the, changing the land use designation of the 22 acres. Right now, it is low-density residential, and it is being proposed to be a planned development mixed-use designation. Can either the city manager or a member of staff tell us what that difference is, and what is that impact on the overall comprehensive plan as it relates to this development?
Maybe like defer to staff on that, Mayor?
Yep.
Let me answer.
Why don't you just stay up there?
Good idea.
Go back to your slide, because I think it basically talks about it. It talks about 4 units, 6 units per acre.
Yes.
Okay.
The question in its entirety, and I want to make sure I get both of these correct, but the impact that this would have and what a planned unit development mixed use entails, correct?
Right.
Okay. The planned unit development mixed use overlay, like I mentioned earlier, was a designation, an overlay district for our Big Woods zoning districts. Those are 3 separate zoning districts: the research and development, the village commercial, and a portion of the general commercial.
Okay.
These 230 to 260 acres, depending on what publications you look at. Excuse me. The planned unit development is essentially taking the village commercial district, which we're standing in now, actually, and expanding it. The planned unit development allows for a mix of integrated but different uses. You can have higher density residential up to 20 units per acre, or not 20 units per acre, 12 units per acre, which is similar to what we see in the village commercial district. Additionally, encouraging the development of small retail shops, filling a retail void we currently have in Poquoson. What makes this different, at least as it pertains to this development, is that increase from 2.5 dwelling units, which is permitted within the district now, the low density designation, to that 4, which as part of this development, this putting a box around it, as we did, let's go back, within the confines of that black line, it would be increased to 4 units per acre.
Okay, so if I'm to understand this correctly, then the the land use designation would allow the proposed additional 22 acres on this development to be commercial? Potentially?
Potentially.
So instead of being residential properties, we have the potential of it being 4 units per acre and/or commercial development?
Yes, however, as it pertains to this specific development, it is not commercial in that area.
As the development is proposed today?
Yes.
So the proposal today is for those additional 22 acres to be what?
Essentially moderate density residential.
And moderate density residential is what? 4 units per acre, 3 units, 2?
For our intents and purposes, 4 to 6 units per acre.
4 to 6 units per acre. So are those single-family homes, or are those townhomes or apartments?
Every home that would be within the confines here would be single-family dwellings,
Okay.
as well as some cottages, but those are still single-family dwellings.
And what is defined as a cottage?
Wait.
Can I just ask the question?
No.
Why?
Because again, I'm given a lot of leeway.
I'm just asking a question, Your Honor.
It's not your honor.
Mr. Mayor, sorry.
Okay.
I was in court yesterday for something else.
So the bottom line is this is a public hearing. Any of these questions that you needed answered probably should have called ahead and gotten the specifics. It's a public hearing for you to address your concerns to council. I try to give a lot of leeway in there because I want people to get the information, but I'm not going to let it go question by question. A couple questions, good.
I understand that, sir, but I think these are logical questions that the citizens of Poquoson have not had the opportunity to ask.
And again, that all sounds really good, and I appreciate your comment, but if you have nothing else to address with council, then I'll ask you to sit.
Oh, thank you
All right.
very much. Democratic process.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about the flooding or the traffic, because that's for somebody else to talk about it. Number 2, the second meeting y'all have. And of course, we need to be at the high school tonight, or the middle school, or one of the schools. We got a pile of schools, so we ought to be at one of them tonight for this many people.
I just wanted to make a few comments on this public hearing. Won't talk about the other one, I promise. I've worked for the past 10 years as an environmental consultant, assisting with environmental permitting for residential, commercial, and industrial development. So I'm typically sitting over there with the developers trying to get the permits passed and those types of things. It's a little interesting to be on the other side of the fence tonight. I would say for the proposal to rezone this, procedurally, this seems out of order. The articles that staff mentioned require either an approved master plan or an existing development, of which neither is the case tonight.
That is incorrect, but go ahead. That's incorrect, go ahead.
Please correct me. Was that not what the slide said? I mean, if I have it wrong, please correct me, because I don't want to misspeak.
No, what it said was that this is a public hearing to change the planned unit development is on record. And what this is a zoning change that is not in the comprehensive plan.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Not that we don't have a
I thought
planned
the articles
unit
that were quoted, can Kevin pull that slide back up? I thought the articles that were quoted
Go right ahead.
required certain.
Continue.
At any rate, the additional density requested, typically additional density is allowed to reduce the number of streets required for a particular development or to consolidate utilities. The parcels of land in question are served by a single street and confined by the property limits on either side, as proposed in the development. Therefore, traditional reasons for requesting increased density do not really apply to these parcels. The most logical reason, it seems, for the requested increase in the number of lots is to just increase the number of lots and therefore the overall profitability of the project. I don't understand what the developer means by logical transition. There is a unit density plan for that area that would serve as a logical transition along with required buffers and setbacks. And I believe that it only makes sense to really discuss this in the context of the overall master plan once that is heard. And so I would recommend that you all consider deferring that vote until after the master plan public hearing is heard. Thank you.
I live at 547 With Creek Road, apartment 25A. First of all, I'd like to say I believe there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people who are stuck at football tonight with their kids that can't be here, that would like to be here. Up until tonight, I didn't quite understand that this was going to take up the whole section of the left-hand side of Victory, which means if I was confused reading things, there's a lot of people that don't know that are still confused. I don't believe that we need to knock out every section of woods. I understand this is a zoning issue, but I am requesting that the second hearing should be presented before the first to eliminate a lot of confusion of what this is going to bring. Because doing this hearing first, people are going to agree to something that they don't know what they're going to walk into second. And we deserve that here.
Any remarks? Shannon Dalrymple. I live at 4 Handsome Drive here in Poquoson. I think I just wanted to just reemphasize a couple things that people said, like as far as feeling like it's backwards. Because I feel like if we don't get all our concerns out and you guys approve this here, then those of us against it have already lost. Because if this gets approved, then anything can happen. I mean, he stood up here and said 4 per acre, and then like 15 minutes later went to 4 to 6, and could be used for commercial, but that's not what we're using it for right now. Like, it could change any second. So if you approve this, all of our concerns are just out the window with that second public hearing. And also, do we know how many people, families, whatever, will end up coming in with this? Like the numbers it would end up bringing into Poquoson?
Is that a question that you should have asked at a previous public hearing? Because I'm not.
I honestly, like, they said it was like highly publicized. I don't get a newspaper.
Okay. Well,
So I didn't even know until this last week.
okay. All I can tell you is it would be approximately 500 new homes. I don't know if those would be.
Just for these 22 acres?
It's for the entire thing.
For the entire,
Now,
including the
let me
22
see if
acres?
I can
Okay.
get you straight on a couple things.
Okay.
What you have today is a proffer, or not really, you have a development plan that we could say yes or no to. That would guarantee you 4 units per acre. If we rezone this and this unit does not go through, then it could be anything.
Yeah, it could become anything from here on out.
Or we could reverse course and say, you know, if we're not approving that one, then we'll revert the zoning. We could make it contingent upon approval of this. There's lots of things that councils can do, but what I will tell you, and please give me a lot of liberty here, but this talk is not new.
Realize that.
Okay? And I am very disappointed that you are listening more to internet language than you are to the facts of the presentation.
No. I'm not listening to any. I didn't take a lot of what came off the internet. People talk of Walmart, all that. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't really care about that, but I do want answers.
We will give you answers when we get to deliberations.
It just seems that
Okay.
if we approve this, though, like those
You will-
answers don't seem to matter.
Council has a way of coming back to all of the comments when they do their deliberations. So
Okay.
we would ask you to be patient.
Thank you.
Now, ma'am, you've already spoken, right?
Well, could I not just have a little time?
As long as you're going to address council? Okay.
Mayor Hunt, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to just comment further on my previous comments. I think what we're hearing and what you just addressed as the internet, if you were to pay any mind to the way that people communicate and get information now, an ad in the newspaper saying that the Planning Commission is having a meeting doesn't reach the majority of people.
No, but the
What
work
has-
sessions do.
Excuse me, but I think this is a public comment opportunity, so I just would like to finish my comment. I think what we are seeing here and what we've been hearing on the Poquoson 411 page and all the other internet pages is that people would like to have an opportunity to discuss in just a little bit more detail what the long-term comprehensive plan for the city really means to the city and what this development means. We have a comprehensive plan. It's the way every city progresses. There's no question that a comprehensive plan is critical. The Planning Commission has approved this development, but a lot of people miss the opportunity for public comment on it. I think what we're seeing here is that the city of Poquoson is at a crossroads. There are people that really deeply, emotionally, and passionately care about what's happening. And this development is the next stage in what's going to be a huge development change in our city. So what we're saying, perhaps, and I don't mean to speak for everyone, but maybe a little bit more discussion is necessary. Maybe just a little bit more of a review of the comprehensive plan so we can discuss density, so we can discuss land use, so we can really have stakeholder input on what's going on. We know we need to increase tax revenue. We know we have a problem with declining enrollment in our schools. We know that we need to do something to keep up with the times. But this is a very special place, and I think the people that are here, the people that are watching, the people who have been engaged in this have a need, and they deserve the right to be able to speak about this in a forum that takes us outside of city council chambers, and maybe we just need to step back a bit and talk about it in a little bit more detail.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, one more.
Hi, I'm Devin Cupp at 6 Hollingsworth Way. I don't know if it's too late in the game. Are we allowed to ask of you to, one, I think we need to flip how we're talking about this. I mean, I think most of us will admit, I guess we're uneducated on this whole process. I can speak
I'm
and
not
say
saying that
I-
you're uneducated, but we cannot reverse,
Well-
we cannot reverse the public hearing that we are having now.
Is there a
So,
reason why we cannot?
Yes, by law.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can we, are you allowed to adjourn or postpone and talk about your city's concerns at another meeting first before you make these final decisions?
I'm not hearing, council can talk about that when we get through the public hearing, what their desire is.
But the thing is once you're done with this conversation about zoning, you're going to make a decision, and we're not educated enough on the decision that you're making, and I don't think the gentleman, no disrespect, I mean, he was not really completely in sync with what he was offering us. So I guess my proposal isn't working, but if anything's possible, we're just coming to you as taxpayers and would like an opportunity to maybe just learn a little bit more. You guys educate us a little bit more. Developer, I mean, I'm sure we would be glad to hear what he has to say in a little more detail.
Yeah, certainly willing to bring the developer back up so that maybe.
But before you make a zoning,
folks,
once you make a zoning change, we're stuck.
Now, I think he was pretty easy on, this is really the no-brainer portion of this, then the harder discussion's coming.
Okay. Okay.
All right, one more.
Good evening, I'm Bebe Laborte, and I live at 106 Terry's Run in Yorktown. I live in the Woods of Tab, which is adjoining this development, and I have been following what's going on with all of this. I have read the paper articles. I have read your many articles as well as meeting minutes on the Poquoson website. So I have followed what is going on. And I was actually at the planning committee meeting in May, I guess it was. And that's part of the reason why I'm here to make this comment. Now, our concern, and I'm going to just say a lot of these folks were correct when they said that the next hearing is really the more appropriate one to have instead of this one being first. Because, and this is where my objection comes in, at that planning committee meeting, there was a lot of, I guess, lack of sympathy for anything that we in the Woods of Tab said about the change in zoning. And so when you already start with a lack of sympathy for the zoning change, then the other items that are the real issues to us are probably just not going to matter to you. So we are concerned about some of the other issues, but if you rezone this, it's almost impossible to address the other issues in a favorable manner. So I just want you to know that we've been listening, we've been watching, and some of you already seem to have your minds made up as to what you want to do, and it would have been more helpful to talk about the big picture first before you just go ahead and change the zoning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Monica White. I'm at 17 Hunts Neck Road. For the 22 acres, I know it's been said before, but it doesn't seem like, and apologize for, I'm in the corner looking in, but it seems like you're looking at us, but you're not really listening. That's what it feels like. So try to make sure you're listening. I work in elementary school. Make sure you're listening. The people that live adjacent to those acres, if you were talking just residential 2.5 units, I don't think they would mind that. But when your own guy got up there, like was said earlier, first you're talking 4 units, then he says, well, 4 to 6. Oh, and it could be commercial. I don't want commercial in my backyard. That's why I came back. I grew up here. I'm back on the same street I grew up on to raise my children. And I think it needs to stay that way. But you should not, like I said before, be addressing this without showing the whole plan. Because that feels like by design that we would approve this and be stuck with whatever else is coming, and we don't really know what's coming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last look.
Good morning, good evening. I'm Brian Moore, 114 Hudgens Road. I just want to say that I grew up in Poquoson. A lot of people think Poquoson has already been grown up and
is a lot bigger than it should be. I think the people standing behind me over here, the majority of them are a reflection of the fact that we're worried about Poquoson growing too big. I really don't feel like you have any interest in what we have to say here. And I feel like we see government at the highest level ignoring what the people have to say. Now, these are the people right here. These are the people y'all represent. And I think you need to listen to them and see what they want, not what you want, not what you want, not what you want, any of y'all, okay? That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is David Foster. I live at 213 Browns Neck Road. And with the comments that we've heard tonight, could the answer to the question, could the approval of this 22 acres from R1 to the new designation, could that be contingent on the approval of the second hearing?
Good.
Okay, thank you.